Welcome to this week's edition of the 52-Week Bale Garden Tips. I'm Paul, and I'm here to share a very important tip with you. I get the question all the time. People are asking me, what kind of bales can I grow in? I hear that you have to use straw, that you can't use hay. Hay will have too many seeds that sprout, or one thing or another, or decomposes too quickly, and that it has to be straw. Well, let me answer some questions for you. If I lived in an area of the country where straw bales were readily available and were $3 or $4 a bale, I'd garden in straw bales. Straw bales are a fantastic gardening medium. However, there are many parts of the country where straw bales just are not available. And because of that, you have to grow in something else if you want a bale garden. I live in southeast coastal Georgia. Bahia grass is king here. Nobody grows cereal grains. They don't grow wheat here. They don't grow rice here. They don't grow anything that produces cereal grains. Oats, none of that stuff is grown here in any great quantity. So straw bales in southeast coastal Georgia are very hard to come by. If you can find them at all, they can run anywhere from $9 to $12 a bale. Ridiculous price. It would make no sense to buy those to bale garden in them. So I bale garden in Bahia grass bales. That's what you've been seeing in my video so far. Now, let me give you some tips. You can grow in straw, any kind of straw. As I mentioned earlier, you can use wheat, oat, rice, any cereal grain that makes a shaft, and they harvest the seed head, and then the shaft is left. They'll bale it up. It makes a great bale garden material. It's all dried out and brown. There's no green in it, so it will compost slowly and gradually all through the season. The bale will hold its shape for most of the gardening season, and it won't completely collapse on you. It's a perfect medium. Now, hay will also do the same thing, but there's a couple of things you need to pay attention to. Now, you can use most any hay. You can use Bahia grass, coastal Bermuda grass. There are a number of other grasses out there that are baled up into hay, even alfalfa. The biggest thing you want to pay attention to is do not buy green bales. Hay bales that are green are baled for the purpose of feeding horses and other livestock, okay? Now, those bales are running $6 to $8 a bale in my area green. But these same exact bales that sit in the barn for 6, 8, 9, 10 months and don't get sold turn into this. They turn into this brown, dried out hay bale that looks exactly like a straw bale. And that's exactly what you want. When you want to buy hay bales, if straw is not available in your area, find out what's being baled for hay. Go to the people who sell it for animal feed and say, hey, I'm looking for hay. I'm looking for the bales that are bedding hay. Bedding hay is what's referred to, or what they refer to as a bale of hay that has dried out. It's sat in storage so long that it's no longer green to any extent whatsoever. And instead of weighing 75 pounds, it only weighs 35 or 40 pounds like a regular straw bale. It's completely dried out, and there's no green in it, and it has no use for animal feed. Okay? So the prices on these are $3 to $4 a bale. They're happy to sell them to you because they're taking up space in their barn, and they need to clear that barn out because they're going to start harvesting green feed hay next season, next spring, and putting it up, and they need that space to store next season's green feed hay. So they're more than happy to sell you these dried out bedding hay bales, and that's a key word, bedding hay. Tell them you want the stuff that's a season or two old. You don't care if it's 2 or 3 years old. As long as it's all dried out, it's bedding hay. That's what you want. When you condition these with the same method you use for straw bales, the fertilizer every other day, the water every day for 10 to 12 days, and then you wait till the 14th to the 20th day after the temperature peaks and drops off below it gets down to around the mid-90s, so you can plant in it. That's perfect. It works great on these bales of hay. It also works great on straw bales, so you can use either one. Just buy whatever is most plentiful and least expensive in your neck of the woods. That's the key. If straw bales are what are most plentiful in your neck of the woods, buy straw bales. If hay bales are what's available in your area and straw is not, then buy hay. Just be sure and ask for the season or older bedding hay that's all dried out. You want bales that are packed tight, the strings are good and tight, The bale is good and tight, and other than that, they're the same dimensions, 36 inches long, 19 inches tall, 15 inches wide as any other standard square bale, and they work just fine. They'll compost slowly and gradually. They'll hold their shape through the season, and they'll do exactly what you need to do, just like if you were using a straw bale. So I hope that answers some of your questions. One other thing I did find out, which is another nice piece of information, for those people who live from southeast Texas all the way across to Alabama and Mississippi and to Georgia down into northern Florida, Bahia grass is grown in all of these areas. It's even grown as far as up to just below North Carolina, all through South Carolina, up into the bottom edge of North Carolina. But if you live in any of those areas, or any of those areas that encompasses that area that I mentioned, Bahia grass may be available, may be widely available in your area. And most people who produce Bahia grass, the gentleman I buy my from informed me that there are 2 strains of Bahia grass, hybrid Bahia grass, that produce inert seed. And by inert seed, I mean it puts up the tiller with the seed head on top, the characteristic Y seed head on the top of a tall stalk, which is the characteristic of Bahia grass, which is what they cut and bale for the bales. But those seed heads are inert. Those seeds will not sprout. They are sterile. The way that they plant a field with Bahia grass, because it is a rhizome grass, it grows from a root system that spreads under the ground, and then the grass nodules spring up from the earth and the tillers. The way they plant a field of this hybrid Bahia, that's 2 different varieties, is they sprig it. They go and collect rhizomes and then sprig it into the new field and let that grow, and it takes over and it produces a pasture of Bahia grass that produces inert seed heads. Now, why would they do that? It's because the sterile Bahia produces nearly twice as much hay in a season is the non-sterile variety. So per acre of the hybrid sterile Bahia grass, they can harvest anywhere from a third to almost twice, anywhere from half again to twice as much hay in the same season. So most farmers that are growing Bahia pastures for baling into Bahia grass bales for feed hay and then bedding hay, they're growing a sterile variety. So that's another thing to keep in mind. Bahia grass, sterile seeds, you're not going to have any seed sprouting. You'll never have a chia pet Bahia grass bale if it's from one of the 2 sterile hybrid varieties. Even straw can turn into a chia pet. And by a chia pet, I'm talking about the seeds that are left inside the bale that sprout when you start to condition the bale. And that's not a big whoop. If you do have a bale of some other kind of hay, like coastal Bermuda or a Bahia grass hay bale that doesn't have inert seed in it, it's from a non-sterile Bahia, or if you've got a straw bale, rice or wheat or oats, and it's sprouting green grass all over it like a chia pet, all you have to do is get you a trigger spray bottle, fill it up with a strong vinegar like Bragg's apple cider vinegar or something like that. Come out here undiluted and just spritz it on the growing grass that's sprouting, and it will kill it. That vinegar is an acid, and spray it in the heat of the day, and it'll pretty much do that stuff in. You can also cut it with a pair of scissors, or use a towel that's in a bucket with some vinegar in it and just swab the towel on it. Don't pour the vinegar in the bale. You don't want to slow down or damage the bacteria and microbes that are composting the inside of your bale. You just want to spritz or rub on the outside onto those sprouting greens, and that acidic, the high acidity in the vinegar will burn them up right quick and stop them in their tracks. Okay, so there's a little bit more about what kind of hay you can use, what kind of straw you can use, either one, and that's a very popular question I get all the time. That's all for this segment of the 52-Week Gardens Hay Bale Garden Tips, and get out there and get growing.